You may be wondering, why in the world is she doing a video in the middle of the week? Well, you know, I figured this may be a nice bridge to my live chat coming up on Friday and Saturday, because we've been talking over the past few live chats about narcissists, and one key term that has come up and continues to come up is something known as flying monkeys. Now, let me just be honest with you and say that when I first heard that term, I thought to myself, okay, somebody who isn't a professional in psychology made that up. While that may be true, the term sounds very unprofessional, but the meaning is very professional, because what happens in the world of an individual who is either what we call a benevolent enabler or a malevolent enabler. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit here. What happens is the benevolent enabler kind of gives in to the narcissistic individual who is harming the rest of the people in his or her life. So an example of this would be, let's say your father is a very, very overt narcissist. He tends to be controlling and dominating and hostile and irritable and angry at all times. Your mom, however, who goes to church or mass, seems to have a very strong social reputation, has always done wonderful things for the community. She is very much susceptible to being manipulated by not only your father, but the quote unquote flying monkeys of the father. Let's say the father has flying monkeys, or individuals who are an accomplice to his evil, right? They're kind of like little minions, if you will. Let's say that that's his sibling. So if that's the case, then your mom is in the middle of both of them, right? And she is a little bit of an enabler, because she has all the characteristics of somebody who is a people pleaser. They're looking for validation. They have this really strong external need for validation that makes them very much an easy and vulnerable target. She wants to people please, you know, and she wants to give him and maybe his siblings everything that they're asking for. So she's what we call a benevolent, I almost couldn't say it, enabler. So if this is you, then you probably want to keep watching. Flying monkeys are interesting because what happens to them is they tend to do three things. One is take the side of the narcissist, because they don't have what it takes as an accomplice to really stand up and take, you know, that strong position that they need to take. They also may not notice exactly what is going on. So they're blinded, right? They have these blinders up that keeps them from seeing things like it should be seen. And so the narcissistic individual has an accomplice, whether that individual knows they're an accomplice or not. So they have a really hard time standing their ground or seeing what's going on. So they take the narcissist side. There's also triangulation that happens when it comes to a quote unquote flying monkey. Triangulation means that flying monkey, or that accomplice to the narcissist, is going to get on the side of the narcissist and go against you. And it may feel so strong and powerful that you feel like, ignore my safety pin here, guys. I do not have a safety pin on my shirt right now. It kind of protects the narcissist from being judged or controlled or shown up, because they have this individual who's a flying monkey, an accomplice to their evil games. So triangulation is one piece of the puzzle that flying monkeys or accomplices engage in. Triangulation is the idea that there's somebody who considers themselves a victim, there's somebody that is pointing fingers, and somebody who is rescuing. Flying monkeys tend to quote unquote rescue the victim, who is the narcissist. So it's a pattern that continues on and on. The other thing is that flying monkeys or accomplices, they tend to inflict additional harm. They inflict additional harm. So let's say that you're a victim of your narcissistic father. What's going on here? Well, Your narcissistic fathers try to control every bit of your life, right? How you think, how you feel, how you engage in matters in your life, the decisions that you make, what you do, why you do them. They minimize and squash all of your decisions or your feelings and how you view life, right? So this is dad. So dad may turn to his siblings who are flying monkeys or accomplices, and he may say, you know what, I need you to talk to my daughter. She's not listening to anything I'm saying. She's not doing anything that I'm saying. And so therefore, you know, I can't get through to her. Well, here comes the accomplice, right? The flying monkey. They're coming to you, knocking on the front door, texting you, emailing you, picking up the phone. They want to know what happened between you and your dad and can we help, right? And so here's what happens. The flying monkeys either become the benevolent enablers, the individual who is like the mother I talked about at the beginning, or we have a malevolent. Am I saying that right, guys? Malevolent enabler, who is an individual who is possibly sadistic, right? They get a little bit of pleasure out of the drama that's going on. They have similar beliefs and doctrines to the narcissist. They have an intentional involvement in all the chaos. Intentional involvement in all the chaos. That's how it goes. And they may have some dark triad traits like the psychopathy, which would make them cold and aloof. The narcissism, which would make them very self-centered and egocentric. And then they also have the machiavellianism, which would give them that sense of, you know, this is great. Something's going on. Something's happening here, right? So what do you do when you're in a family dynamic like this, or you're in a relationship with someone where there's flying monkeys that are coming against you, or there's an accomplice that's coming against you? Well, recognition is one. That's what I always suggest that my clients focus on, is recognition of the issue. You got to be able to identify that this is a problem, this is a pattern, this is something that's not going to end well for me. This is a flying monkey or an accomplice. This is my narcissistic parent's way of engaging in the world. Once you recognize that, right, it's almost like the 12-step substance abuse model, where recognition is the first step, but it really is the first step, right? You have to be able to recognize what's going on. Once you recognize what's going on, then you want to research it, right? I don't suggest jumping on Google and Googling flying monkeys, right? Because that's a layman's way of describing a clinical thing that's going wrong. So you really want to look at family dynamics. You want to look at the narcissistic relationship dynamics. You want to be able to research and absorb the things that are clinical, clear, and researched, not those layman terms. You can look at those for fun, but you really want a clear understanding of the relationship dynamic and what is going on. You want to ask for and seek help, and that could be with a family member who is pretty experienced in this area, getting self-help books, going to see a therapist, watching videos like this one, right? Going to live chats like I have every Friday and Saturday. You want to ask for and identify and seek help. The other thing that I suggest is setting unmovable boundaries. You have to be able to set boundaries. If your boundaries are rigid, that can be a problem. If your boundaries are too flexible, that can be a problem. So you want to be in the middle. You want to be in the middle. You want to be in the middle where, you know, you can be flexible when you need to, but you can also put up your boundaries and set the boundary. That's how you want to deal with quote unquote flying monkeys. That's how you want to deal with an accomplice. Join me Friday live and Saturday live. We're going to be talking more about this, not narcissists, but we are going to talk about the traumatic experience, the psychology of traumatic religion and spirituality in a family dynamic. And I'm also going to talk about what it's like to live with an abuser, the psychology of that. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for being with me in today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.